Who would tell us of the things of old, of the things of old and of the things that have been, of young Vasilyushka Buslaevich, the son of old Buslai, Vasily Buslaev, the Bogatyr of Novgorod? Who would speak of the death of Vasily Buslaev? Traveling down the great rivers of Russia, Vasily and his band subjugated the Finns, the Mongols, and most of the people around the Caspian Sea. They returned after a victorious campaign lasting many years, with Kostya at the rudder and Potania and Foma at the bows. Their ship entered the port of Novgorod via Lake Ilmen and the Volkhov. Vasily looked grave. He set his foot on land and went straight to his old mother. He wished to do penance for all his former violent acts, even if they sometimes served a good purpose. He announced, "My next trip will lead to the grave of the Lord, and then to the Jordan to cleanse me of my sins. Finally, I will climb Sorochinsky Mountain to gain an insight into what must happen to both me and to Novgorod. Stone softeneth in the fire and melteth in the glow. His mother's heart gave way. Amelfa Timofeevna gave Vasily stores of bread and far-reaching weapons, with the warning, 'Defend thy turbulent head, Vasily.' The next day, Vasily and his band sailed away from the port of Novgorod to Jerusalem. For a month they saw no one, for everyone fled from them. Then sails appeared on the horizon. They appeared to belong to a pair of trading ships. Vasily sailed alongside and informed the frightened merchants that he was no longer a robber. Could they show him the shortest route to Jerusalem? The merchants pointed out that there was a route across the Caspian Sea that took only 7 weeks, but they added, "That sea was recently blockaded. Robbers have occupied the Kumen Island. We advise you to take the detour through the western seas, which takes a year and a half." Vasily did not feel like this at all. Once again, he allowed his temper to get the better of him. He sailed to the largest landlocked sea in the world and soon landed on Kumen Island, where he challenged the robbers. They put him to a test, which he endured, and they provided him with a pilot. After a journey of 7 weeks with the pilot, Vasily espied a lofty mountain and quickly ran into the steep shores and ascended Shorochinsky Hill, and after him flew his brave troop, his brave druzhina. Halfway to the top, Vasily stumbled on a skull. He cried out, "Speak, you desiccated death's head! Are you the head of a scoundrel, a robber, a Tatar, or a Christian?" In his conceited way, he kicked it right into the clouds. When it fell back to earth, the skull lamented, "Why did you do that, Vasily Buslaevich? I am the head of a Christian crusader, braver than you. Because of the dishonorable way you have treated me, your head will soon fall on this spot and be covered in dust." Vasily spat and passed on. "Either the enemy speaketh in thee, thou skull, or an unclean spirit," he said, and proceeded up the mountain. On the very peak thereof stood a stone, 3 full fathoms broad. Across it only an axe might be hurled. Its length was 3 arshins and a quarter, and on it was written this inscription: "He who shall solace himself at this stone and divert himself by leaping along this stone shall break his turbulent head." This Vasily believed not, and began to divert himself with his brave guards, his brave druzhina, by leaping across the stone. Nevertheless, lengthwise they did not dare to leap. They then climbed down again and hastened to Jerusalem. In the cathedral in that city he had a mass sung for himself and for his old mother, prayed for forgiveness for all his former sins, and gave generous gifts to the priest, and gave gold without stint to the aged people who depended upon the church. Then he went to the Jordan to bathe with his 29 followers. Vasily took off his colorful clothing and went into the river Jordan. An old woman saw him and called out, "Why are you bathing naked, Vasily Buslaev?" Only our Lord Jesus Christ could do that when he was baptized by John the Baptist. Oh, brave band of men, know that you will soon lose your leader. Vasily, you won't return to Mother Russia, nor see your own dear mother again, the honorable widow, Amelfa Timofeevna. Vasily spat and uttered a spell. You were sleeping and saw your own fate in a dream. The old and aged woman spoke. I was sleeping, and I saw you in a dream. Suddenly filled with fearful premonitions, Vasily led his men back to his scarlet ship. Vasily boarded his scarlet ship with all his brave druzhina. They raised the thin canvas sails and sailed until they espied the Shorochinsky hill. On the summit lay the stone with its inscription, which Vasily believed not. At the challenging stone, Vasily Buslaev's son then spoke, Hail to you, my brave druzhina! Let us leap across the stone. Let us jump forward and then jump back. One of us, Botyana, is small and lame. He can jump forward, but he will not be able to jump back. All but Botyana jumped across the stone. They jumped forward and jumped back. Vasily Buslaev's son then spoke, There's no honor or praise for a youth. That's no merit for a bogatyr. Let's jump the length of the stone. Let us jump forward and then jump back. They jumped the length of the stone, forward and back. Once again, Vasily felt challenged. He jumped, then stumbled, and hit his head against the ground. His tongue still moved in his head. Hail to you, my brave druzhina. Please make me a coffin of white oak. Find the dry human bone. Lay the bone with me in a single coffin on the right side. And where the empty skull had lain, there they buried Vasily and sailed back to Novgorod and told Amelfa Timofeevna of the death of her son. She wept and said, Ay, ye bold and goodly youths, there is nothing now which I may do for you. Yet go ye into my deep vaults and take golden treasure without stint. So the handmaiden led them thither, and when they had taken a little gold, they came and gave thanks for her hospitality, in that she had fed, clothed, and shod the good youths. Then she commanded that a cup of green wine should be given to each, and when they had drunk it, they bowed low before her. After that, the good youths went each their way. She gave away all her possessions to monasteries, so that the priests would pray for the peace of Vasily's soul. It was at the feast I heard this tale. There it was I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.